Hey TF2 fans, this is the Engineer. He's the most played class in the game, at least in 2010. He's one of 3 defense classes who are ready to keep your base safe and sound. Armed with his trusty shotgun, pistol, and wrench, along with his plethora of buildings, he is truly a team player who can get the job done. There's just one slightly interesting thing you might notice about him though. When you see an engineer on your team, you'll see him using either the Jag, the stock wrench, or the Southern Hospitality on some occasions. Even the gunslinger is seen quite frequently, as some usually find battle engineer tailored more to their own playstyle. But when was the last time you saw someone using the Eureka effect? No, I don't just mean for getting to the front line to set everything up, going back to spawn, and equipping another wrench for the rest of the game. I mean, when did you last see an engineer use the Eureka effect for the whole game? I'm willing to bet it's not very often at all. Well, I actually see engineers use this as their main wrench all the time, and the only reason for that is because I'm that engineer. No joke, I've pushed aside my favorite Jag and my beloved Australian wrench in favor of this funny looking doohickey that a cartoon villain would be threatening the main character with. And I've been addicted to the Eureka effect for good reason. I think it's legitimately one of the best weapons in the game. So in this video, let me show you why. Like any good weapon analysis video, let's start by taking a look at the Eureka effect's stats. Equipping this wrench allows you to teleport to either your spawn or your teleporter exit via your reload key. Pressing 1 takes you to spawn, and pressing 2 takes you to your teleporter exit. You're also given a benefit to your teleporters, as now they only require 25 metal to build and 100 metal to upgrade levels. As a trade-off, your buildings are upgraded at a slower rate, and ammo packs and dispensers give you less overall metal. So when we put all these stats together, what does it mean? Well, I'll go more in depth about this wrench in a second, but long story short, the Eureka effect gives you and your team easier mobility at the cost of getting that gear up a bit slower. The first stat I want to talk about is that minus 50% metal cost when constructing or upgrading teleporters, because wow, what an upside. This means that building and upgrading both your teleporters to level 3 with the Eureka effect costs only 250 metal as opposed to 500 with any other wrench. Or robot hand, I guess. You can even build your teleporter entrance and exit and upgrade them to level 2 before running out of metal. This means that right out of spawn, you're provided the guaranteed ability to move your team up faster without having to scram for any spare ammo packs. Of course, this is assuming you don't build any other buildings first. But in some cases, such as if the enemy is close to pushing the payload to the next point, getting your team up to the front line quicker can be more beneficial than just building a sentry or dispenser for momentary support. Speaking of building a sentry or dispenser, this wrench's first instance of that dreaded red text starts to show, as you now construct your building slower than ever before. This is most evident with your teleporters that I was just gloating about earlier. Yes, you can build and upgrade them at a more efficient rate, but they take much longer to build in the first place. Honestly, teleporters already take a bit of time to build, but with the Eureka effect, your patience will definitely be tested when trying to get them up and running. The same goes for your sentry and dispenser, as in the situations where they are more beneficial than your teleporter, they'll take longer to build than usual, leaving you with a higher likelihood that they'll go down before ever going up to give your team some backup. Unfortunately, the downsides don't stop there, as you also receive 20% less metal from pickups and dispensers, making it a bit more challenging to build, upgrade, or maintain your buildings. Now 20% doesn't seem like that much, as in the most drastic case of obtaining metal, large ammo packs now only give you 160 metal as opposed to 200. However, in some cases, I can't deny that 40 extra metal can really save your skin. If you're really good at managing your metal and knowing how much you'll need in any given encounter with the enemy, then you'll probably be okay with 40 less metal. However, TF2 has so many— I've said however so many times in the script, oh my gosh. But TF2 has so many unexpected moments that you'll never see coming, so having this extra metal is better than not having it at all. But enough with all of these downsides. Did you know that the engineer can teleport with this wrench? Yeah, you heard that right. Engineer, considered one of the least mobile classes without working teleporters or Wrangler to Wrangler jump, can now have perhaps the highest technical mobility out of any class in the game. No matter how far away you place your exit teleporter or how far away your spawn is located, pressing R and choosing your teleport destination lets you teleport from wherever you are on the map to your desired location. You can be 2 feet away from your spawn or all the way across Thunder Mountain, it doesn't matter. This wrench lets you cover so much ground in such a little time, and if you ask me, that's where this wrench shines the most. Being able to be this mobile as a class who usually sticks close to his buildings really helps. In fact, in the cases where you set up your buildings too far from any ammo packs, or if someone else just took that ammo pack you really needed, teleporting back to spawn, touching the resupply locker, and teleporting back to your buildings is usually quicker than searching or waiting for more metal. Seriously though, waiting for metal to replenish seems like it takes much longer when you really need it. Now, I won't deny that while you can cover large distances much more quickly than before, your means of doing so is a bit limited, as you need to place your exit teleporter at the spot that you want to teleport to before you can even teleport there in the first place. Once you do this though, you're free to teleport back to the spot as many times as you please. Heck, you can even avoid the lengthy walk back to spawn after placing your exit, as now you can get back there without even having to walk. And this whole idea of being able to teleport between where you're currently located on the map, your spawn, and your teleporter exit is where the Eureka effect benefits you the most. This teleporting function lets you do so many things that you couldn't do before. Of the newest things you can do, I think there are 2 that help the engineer the most. One, you now essentially have unlimited metal reserves that you can quickly obtain, as once you run out of metal, you can teleport back to spawn to get more and teleport back to your buildings. I've practiced doing this in tons of games, and at least for me, I found it to be the fastest way to build and upgrade your buildings. What I do is start building a sentry or dispenser as soon as my teleporter exit is up and running. As soon as it starts building, I teleport back to spawn, get more metal, and immediately teleport back. Then I upgrade my desired building, teleport back to spawn when my metal runs out again, and get more metal, rinse and repeat. Once you practice this enough times, you'll be surprised how quickly you can upgrade your gear without having to search for more metal. The other best thing this teleporting function lets you do is quickly unsap your buildings, given that they're somewhat close to each other. One of Engineer's greatest weaknesses is that if he's too far away from his buildings, it's extremely difficult, or impossible in some cases, to unsap a building before it goes down. But with the Eureka effect, you can teleport to your exit, locate the sapped building, and unsap it. Easy peasy, just like that. Even if the spy who sapped your stuff is nearby, not even he will expect you to reach your building so quickly. This lets you catch him off guard, allowing you to gun him down or let your sentry do the job. Psych! There's actually a third new benefit to using the Eureka effect, and that's increasing the engineer's survivability. Yeah, have you ever tried retreating from an enemy and find them chasing you down only to have them catch up to you and kill you? Well, with this wrench, you'll at least get the chance to teleport back to safety instead of dying and being slapped in the face with a 20-second respawn timer. No, seriously, as much of a joke that hideously long respawn times are in the community, they do actually have a downside to everyone on your team, especially the engineer. If you're dead, you're not getting your gear up or defending your buildings that are still standing. With the Eureka effect, it can help you get out of a pickle a bit easier, allowing you to live, retreat, and help get your team's defenses back up. Now, of course, you won't be able to get out of every dangerous situation, as you'll inevitably die many times from trying to teleport away, but at least you get the chance to cheat death with this wrench, which, if you ask me, is better than letting the enemy team push through your setup because you weren't alive to keep your buildings up and running. Okay, so the script isn't even complete yet, and I can already hear people asking, oh, what about ninjaneering? Aren't you going to mention how the Eureka effect lets you do that? And yes, this wrench does let you ninjaneer, but to me, personally, I hate ninjaneering. I just think it's super boring, and I don't actually think it helps your team that much. For anybody who might not know what ninjaneering is, it's basically putting your teleporter exit behind enemy lines and then setting up a sentry to either guard a route they'll have to travel to reach an objective, or you can just spawn camp with it. Yeah, really original. And this is exactly why I don't like ninjaneering. Engineer is one of the most team-oriented classes, second only to the medic in my opinion. Ninjaneering takes this team aspect completely away from the engineer in my eyes. See, to get behind the enemy, you'll have to place a teleporter exit somewhere near their base. This means it's likely that you've either wasted the ability to get your team up to defend your objective quicker by not placing a teleporter entrance, or you've put your team in an unhelpful situation where half of your team is behind the enemy and the other half is defending the objective because you have placed an entrance. Splitting up your team like this doesn't usually help much because it's usually better to focus all of your firepower and coordination into one location instead of half of them into 2 locations. But if you still want an engineer even after hearing all of this, no problem. I just think that, to me at least, an engineering is inferior to playing traditional engineer with the Eureka effect. Just do whatever suits your playstyle. So at this point in the video, I guess I should actually explain why I believe that the Eureka effect is Engineer's most useful wrench, since, you know, it's the title of the video. Well, to put it simply, the Eureka effect lets Engineer and his whole team become more mobile thanks to a lower metal cost when building and upgrading teleporters. In addition, Engineer's self-preservation and class mobility is increased greatly as he can teleport away from danger or from a lengthy distance back to spawn or his teleporter exit. As a cost, his buildings take a bit longer to construct even when he hits them with his wrench, and he receives less metal when picking up ammo boxes or standing near dispensers. If you ask me, the upsides greatly outweigh the downsides, as the Engineer receiving heightened mobility that other classes would beg to have in exchange for slightly less effective construction methods is a fair trade-off. In fact, I would classify the Eureka effect as the best quote-unquote support wrench, as the other wrenches could be labeled as defense wrenches, with the gunslinger being the offense wrench. I mean, it's not really a wrench, but you know what I mean. And calling the Eureka effect a support wrench makes a lot of sense to me, as his defensive capabilities are made slightly worse in exchange for making his support mechanics better. One important thing to remember is that the Engineer isn't just the guy who builds a sentry and defends a point, he's also the guy who gives health and ammo to his teammates and gets his team to the front line quicker. So the Eureka effect making his defensive capabilities a little bit less effective while making his supportive ones more beneficial isn't bad, since at heart Engineer is still a team player. To me, the Eureka effect only highlights that fact, and with all of these reasons, that's why I consider the Eureka effect to be Engineer's most useful wrench. Better mobility, better teleporting, Eureka effect.